2 o'clock. We're going to start today's meeting of the Rules and Open Government Committee. Let's have roll.
Davis?
Here.
Jimenez?
Present.
Kamei?
Here.
Foley?
Here.
Cohen?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We don't have an agenda for September 5th, so we'll start by reviewing the agenda for Tuesday, September 12th. 9:30 closed session, 1:30 regular session. There is an evening session notice, but we'll, I guess, discuss the need for that. Consent starts on page 6, goes through page 7, 8, and 9. Pages 10 and 11 are the labor agreements. Oh, we're still waiting for. All right, section 5 on page 12. Route 87 Rehabilitation Project. Environmental Utility Services, section 6, we have 2 items. And then on page 13, section 7, Youth Commission and Youth Participation, Purchase and Sale Agreement for 5 Wounds Trail in section 8. And then there is 1 item on page 14 on land use consent. So let's go to public comment.
Paul?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. I'd like to talk about the agreement that you're making with Pacific Gas and Electric, renewable, anything having to do with the installation of this new electrical infrastructure. We have to start attaching to that the impacts, the financial and impacts that it's going to be making on my community. Now, we all know what's going to happen. You're trying to disconnect by saying that all of these issues are siloed, like they have no relationship to other issues that you're going to be voting on. And so they can't be siloed. We can't no longer tolerate that kind of system. That's what the previous mayor did, and we already know what happened as a result, and that one's going to continue to unravel. So we have to, because he's the one that started making these deals with the electric companies. So because we know that he's lying and a judge has affirmed that he's lying, we need to get to the point where we have to determine the legitimacy of these agreements. We're talking $150 million of taxpayer money. This is city money. Yeah, you're getting grants from here and there, but ultimately, we are the ones that are going to have to contend with the consequences of the decisions that you're making right now. And to think that you're making them so cavalierly and like this is just, business as usual, I think is a disrespect to the office that you hold. It's disrespectful to the public that knows and understands. We see you. We see exactly what you're doing. And what you're going to do is you're going to sit there and act like, oh, we didn't anticipate this happening because it was never brought up in these conversations. Well, that's the role that I play in these discussions, is that I make sure that you're on notice. I make sure that you were well aware, and that way it can be referenced later. You're well aware of the impact of this electrical infrastructure on the Chicano community and the Mexican communities.
Back to council.
All right, thank you. Starting with the question of, I guess we'll let Councilmember Davis start.
Thanks. I know there have been some requests. So 7.1, the Youth Commission, some of the commissioners have asked to give a little time after school so that they can get here. So I'm gonna, and then I know that 3.3 has been requested to be heard last. So I will make the motion. I move that we move the agenda for September 12th, put 10.1 immediately after regular consent, and 7.1 not before 4 p.m. and 3.3 last.
I would second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Comment?
Can you include canceling the evening session?
Oh, and cancel the evening session. Thank you.
All right, any other comments? All right, let's move to a vote. All right, motion carries 5-0. Now we're on to our consent calendar for today's meeting, which has 4 items. We'll go to public comment first.
I have no hands.
All right, do we have a motion?
Move approval. Second.
All right, let's vote on the consent calendar. All right, consent calendar is adopted by a vote of 5-0. So Section C, Item 1, extending the Post Street Traffic Closure Pilot Program. Who's going to introduce this one? Okay, Councilmember Torres.
Good afternoon, colleagues. So thank you so much. I'm here representing the memo that I co-authored with the mayor, Vice Mayor Kamei, Councilmember Foley, about extending Post Street. Since the street closure of Post Street, it's been it's been really successful for our businesses on the corridor and patrons, of course. And as you could all imagine, we just celebrated Pride, and it was super active and super thriving. So for those of you who do not know, Post Street is in our downtown and the largest LGBTQ district here in our city, right? And it allows people to spill into the street safely, right? But also allows them to go business to business. So there have been some amazing programs that have utilized the closure of Post Street, right? We have partnerships with Project More, Splash Nightclub, right, who have a bi-weekly drag brunch. And as you can imagine, drag brunches are being scrutinized and ostracized and whatnot, whether they're held out in the streets or in our libraries. Also, many of you came out to the San Jose Jazz Fest opening night party, which was held on Post Street, right? It was closed for all of y'all, right? Where you all mingled and heard lovely jazz music before you went to go and watch the headliner at Plaza de Cesar Chavez. And so having Post Street permanently closed is an amazing opportunity to ensure that we maintain vibrancy within this district and community. It will continue to allow our businesses to thrive, but most importantly, it creates a place of belonging to people, it creates a place belonging to people where people want to be and hang out and be their authentic selves, of course. We all can have a thriving downtown. We all can have a thriving city. And so closing Post Street, right now temporarily, hopefully permanently, is a good first step. Thank you. And I also have Michael Lamolio here with the mayor's office.
Thank you, council member. I first just want to start off by thanking the council member and his team for their leadership on this memo and coordinating with staff from the attorney's office, from OED, and also from Project More and the businesses on the street. I believe it was a few weeks ago that actually the D3 office and the mayor's office attended a community meeting on Post Street, and the overwhelming consensus really was to continue the pilot program. And from there, the District 3 office and our office worked in coordination on this memo to see how we could make that happen. And I'm just really thankful that we were able to get something published in coordination with other council members here today. And I also want to recognize Project More for being in the room, who's been a wonderful community leader as well. So thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll start with public comment.
Nathan?
Yay. We were going to give you the mic anyways.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Nathan Sabota. My pronouns are he and him. For those that may not know who I am, I am Project More president. We also are the stewards of the community district where Post Street is within. And we're here to just really amplify what has already been shared, both from businesses, community, and stakeholders in neighboring the space. it's continuing to thrive, and it's continuing to build upon it. And for us to not be able to or question whether we should continue or extend that would certainly be detrimental to the momentum that has been gone on, including the investments of the city that have allowed us to do built environment solutions, beautification activities, etc. The closure certainly benefits businesses on the street, but most importantly, it benefits the LGBTQI plus community that utilizes that space for safe commuting, fellowship, and their ability to just continue to express their culture and their authentic selves within a public space. So as we continue, we hope that you will support the initiative to continue the pilot and ultimately its hopeful future of permanent closure.
Paul?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. I think we've lost something, and it actually surprises me as well as disappoints me that the councilman that is heading this position did not acknowledge the lives of his own people that were neglected and that died in exponential numbers, more than any other population, a population that he defines himself as being connected to. You know, Mexicanos in particular were dying in exponential numbers to the population. We suffered the most COVID deaths, we suffered the most COVID infections. And that is the reason why Post Street was able to profit. You see, we're losing our ethical and moral, really compassion centers when we look at these spaces and places and we do not acknowledge how it was established within the public record. And it surprises me that a descendant, a person that claims their descendancy from that very community, did not say one word in acknowledgement of the Mexicanos who died in his area and from his barrio because of overcrowding conditions. And now, the LGBT community has got the audacity to come to city council and claim victory. Yes, we have enhanced our ability to conduct business, and we're doing it on the deaths and the blood and the very people that built this city to begin with. This is disgusting, and the councilman should be ashamed of himself for not acknowledging his community and the deaths that they suffered. And that's the reason why Post Street is now closed. It is directly connected to COVID. And I would like some discussion about that because it disgusts me that that was ignored. Thank you.
Back to council.
All right, let's go to Lee first just to tell us about the early consideration form.
Thank you, Chair. Lee Wilcox, Assistant City Manager. First, I'd like to thank the authors of the memorandum for working with the administration and thank the council member for his opening thoughts on this issue. Staff has greenlit all of the recommendations with the exception of number 4, which we've put as yellow, and we will come forward through the budget process with the manager's budget addendum to further speak about the cost for extending it and also the cost around CEQA and implementation of a permanent closure so that council has that information during the budget process.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Foley.
Yes, I'd just like to move that this item go forward to the full council for discussion, and I want to thank Councilmember Torres, the mayor's office, and Vice Mayor Kamei for allowing me to participate in this memo. I think it's an important opportunity to close this street that is a gateway street. It's really an important street to not just to the LGBT community, but the community who will benefit from the businesses along that that couple of blocks corridor. So I move approval of that.
I will second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Looks like we have no other comments. I too want to thank the authors of the memo for bringing this forward. I think these kind of opportunities are great. You know, multiple places in our downtown and across the city, we need to have more walkable business districts where people can get out of their cars and enjoy space. And so obviously we have 2 good examples in District 3. Maybe we'll eventually have some examples elsewhere. I have a question just about what it means for temporary, because it was temporary, we had the several day closure before, the night and weekend. We were doing that under the authority of temporary rules based on the emergency. We are allowed to extend, but I assume we can't extend again past December 31, 2024? What are the rules about
That's
temporary extension?
That's our belief, that you wouldn't be able to extend beyond that. So we will factor in those costs with moving quickly in CEQA. However, I will say even now there's a number of pieces of legislation, which I don't know that'll move forward in this cycle, but held within the Assembly and Senate that would give us additional flexibility around this.
Yeah, I wish we had the ability to do things like this much simpler. I mean, these kind of things shouldn't be so costly, but.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other comments, we'll move to a vote. All right, the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Councilmember Torres, are you introducing the next one as well? Okay.
Yes.
I'll just start
Yes,
by noting that there's a typo in the title of the memo. It's not a negligible property, but a negligent property.
Oh.
So other than that,
Thank you.
we'll move forward.
We all work together. Not the best speller either, by the way. So, great. Thank you all for allowing me to speak yet again. So since I took office in January, my office has been flooded with emails and phone calls about what they call the trash bag church. Somebody went in there and got rid of the bags, and now you could see the big, beautiful church that's now there, historical church. So it's a large blight issue, creating an eyesore for our downtown and diminishing our city's pride. ZNL Properties acquired this property in 2017 with promises of preserving its historical significance and contributing positively to our downtown area. Unfortunately, 6 years have passed, and we are left with nothing but a blighted eyesore owned by a billionaire developer who has been involved in a scandal, including admissions of bribery and recent house arrest. This is unacceptable and reflects poorly on the property owner and our city's commitment on preserving our landmarks. One issue that has been brought to the forefront is the need for improvement of this fine structure. When fines are limited, businesses may not take them seriously, and property owners may neglect their responsibilities. When fines are lowered, then what is needed to rectify the current conditions of this property, it leaves a gap, and the city might need to pick up on that tab. With our proposal, we are asking for increasing the maximum daily fines. Our city will take the necessary steps to protect sites that hold cultural and historical significance for our city. We want to send a clear message that San Jose is committed to preserving its historical treasures and ensuring that our neighborhoods are clean and safe. And that's the important part, that our neighborhoods are clean and safe, and that folks utilizing St. James Park in events, bringing out their families, don't see this blighted issue. So we owe it to our community, to our history, and the vibrancy of our downtown San Jose. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's go to public comment.
Caller 0319.
Thank you very much for your time today on this topic. First of all, I'd like to say thank you, even though he's probably not in the audience, to Jim Salata, who is a hero as far as I am concerned, with getting started on removing the blight on this beautiful historic structure. I have a suggestion. I don't know if it's possible or not, but my idea is when there is an initial property negotiation and there is a historic structure that's within the property's scope, that the city, whoever's negotiating on behalf of the city, should be required to have some kind of clause in there that you must, within a certain time frame, take care of the property, and maybe even spell out what "quote unquote" take care means, so that we don't end up with this type of situation where we are, years into, this blighted, property. So that's my idea, and I hope that there will be some consideration around it to do something proactively versus having to be reactive. Thank you.
Ben?
Thank you, Ben Leach, Executive Director of Preservation Action Council of San Jose. Really want to thank Mayor Mahan and Council members Torres, Kamai, and Foley for this memo. We're in full agreement with all of its points. I also want to thank the council members and the mayor for the opportunity to speak at the press event last Thursday before the tarps were removed, where I spoke to the importance of addressing this not as just an eyesore blight issue, but as a longer term question of what we need to do to save the church and put it back into constructive use long term. These memo points are the appropriate first steps in that. They are not the only steps in that. So we are fully in support of this. However, now that the trash bags are removed, that doesn't mean the problem is gone. ZNL has shown no interest in maintaining the property. The property is still in a state of blight and a state of vulnerability. We are now just as thrilled as we are to be able to see it. We're now very concerned that its exposure is only going to hasten its continued decline, and we are hoping to be a part of a solution that involves the city being more proactive in trying to figure out a way to get ZNL out of the picture and get the church into the hands of someone with the vision and the resources to bring this long-standing vision for an adaptively used landmark to fruition. Thank you.
Paul?
Yes, also from the Horseshoe, as valued and as important as the history that that building represents, so is the people that dedicate their lives to making sure that places like this are preserved for future generations and to tell their story. And I cannot think of any organization in this city that does that with pride, with dignity, and with respect for space than Preservation Action Council, Mike, and Ben Leach. Now, with that said, there was an opportunity for the city to put up $200,000 and they neglected to do that. Why? Honestly, I don't care. What I'm concerned about is arson. Now that the building, arson is rampant and very strategic. The Graves property, the Archer building, Louis Market in my barrio, these are all a product of arson. Now, very soon, all of a sudden, that building and that structure is, I don't know, I can't predict the future, but I got a pretty good sense considering the track record of these strategic properties in the way that arson just happens to happen there. There's something that stinks in the downtown area, and it's related to the land. So what I would like to talk about is what the city is going to do in order to make sure that they protect the property from arsonists. Because we've failed and we lose the story, we lose the history. This is my history. I have 15 ancestors buried at Oak Hill and 5 at Calvary. So I'm staying. And so what I'd like to do is work with the city that I love.
Ellen? Ellen? I see you're unmuted, but I don't hear you.
I don't hear you.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
hear you.
Yeah, okay. Hi, I'm calling out of police parking lot, Oak Hub, and I'm just responding to some solution. And I really like what the last caller has to say. It's really important to all of us who care about this city. There is something that stinks downtown, and it does have to do with the land. So I'm not sure if this is a viable option, but I did suggest it for creating an app where people or independent contractors can volunteer and earn credits towards, I don't know, gift cards or paying off fines or something. And if there's a site that needs attention, that if the city workers are not funded or not enough staff, that it could be picked up easier by volunteers or by other people to maybe secure it, provide kind of, I don't know, eyes on it. And I think there's a lot of people who would appreciate getting paid to watch out for these things. And I'm not sure who is invested in the property, but you know, maybe they can give some more light on who would be hired or do something like that. That's it. Thank you.
Back to council.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Lee, want to describe the early consideration form?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. Staff has green-lit recommendations 1 and then 2 through A, but is yellow-lit recommendation 2C, which is the avenue of repurchasing the church, citing the cost, policy alternatives that are available to the council, and also just staff's time to pursue that. But the rest of this is green.
All right, Councilmember Jimenez.
Thank you. I'll move approval and then have a question or two.
Second.
Thank you. So these, you know, I haven't dug into fines recently as it relates to code enforcement violations and such, but Nancy, I have a question, and I'm curious, or maybe I'll just ask the question, whoever wants to answer, actually. So this exploration of the increase in fines is specific to designated city, state, or federal landmarks, and that's it, right? So we're not looking at sort of the exploration of fines as it relates to other properties, is that?
Yes, Councilmember, when I was working with staff, they requested that we narrow the actual language in here so that we could focus on a smaller set of properties.
Okay. So I appreciate that, but it brings to mind for me other issues I've heard of over the years as it relates to properties in downtown. And I'd be curious, again, anyone that can answer, the applicability of increasing fines for some of the landlords who are sitting on vacant properties and refuse to do anything with them and maybe don't keep them up as to how they should be. And so I'm wondering if what the possibility is of expanding this a little bit.
Councilmember Kevin Fisher, Assistant City Attorney. As Michael mentioned, this recommendation is just for the historic properties, but there's nothing that would constrain a broader recommendation as a separate recommendation. In other words, there's nothing unique about historic properties that would enable them to have higher fines as opposed to other
Okay.
properties.
All right. And Nancy, can I ask you a question? I'm sure you've been working, obviously, in this space for many years, specifically downtown space. And so what I'm curious about is, have we thought about increasing fines for properties in downtown, maybe specifically, right, just to even narrow it and not keep it out to the full city, but as it relates to property owners that aren't maintaining their property downtown? Have we thought about that? I mean, it's not a novel concept, but I'm curious as to...
Thank you for the question, Nancy Klein, Economic Development. And yes, there have been discussions previously, but they had been broader and harder to implement. So this was a foray into a narrower, approachable attempt, and then potentially other inclusion after that.
Okay. And the broader, can you speak to the broader sort of scope that was originally considered and maybe it was viewed as too broad? What did that entail? Specifically
to what you were speaking about, Councilmember? Properties that were deemed to not be attending to the maintenance and blight occurring from properties throughout.
And then we as a city or staff, or maybe even past council members in District 3, I know obviously Councilmember Perales is interested in this as well, but we haven't figured out a way to narrow it so we can capture some of those folks, or we just haven't done the work to do that? Or
If approachable or good for Lee, we can bring back to you the prior analysis, which was a great deal of work and a lot of staff time for code.
I understand. Okay. So if something like that were to be part of this, you'd probably get a red. Given the amount of staff time.
A red is usually this is illegal, so it doesn't sound like that's illegal.
Could be an orange.
But no, I would definitely, for me, orange. I would need to see kind of the staff analysis around that. I hadn't been privy to that, but again, after we look at that, if the council is at all interested, we can send that to the council as well, or it's something as we kind of. I know we're going to be coming to you in October with our first focus area dashboards on what we're doing around the 4 focus areas, and obviously clean neighborhoods and economic development are 2 of those, so that can be something that gets fleshed out or discussed more then as well, if you'd like.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to share, I'm sure, again, it's not a novel idea, folks have thought about this. I just think that this conversation opens up that window a little bit to figure out what we can do to get other property owners to behave in a more appropriate way, and sometimes the fines are those sticks that we can use and utilize to get them to be better neighbors, if you will. So anyway, I'll put that out there, and I'll let the esteemed councilmember from District 3 figure that out. But yeah, I think there's a motion. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Just a follow-up question on that. So we have this fine limit of 100,000. Do we often have trouble collecting these fines, or do they get collected usually? I mean, when they get implement, or when we fine landowners?
Nancy Klein, I'm filling in for Rachel Roberts. I'm channeling her at the moment. But many of them are very difficult. As with ZNL, there are many fines that have already been fined and they simply don't pay them.
Right, so I was just wondering, I mean, obviously, this in some sense could be symbolic in that if there's a distant landowner with lots of money or doesn't care, and whether it's 100,000, 500,000, or 10 million, the fine that won't necessarily be collected, right? So I'm not opposed to this. I'm just curious about the efficacy of this policy change to doing what it is we're trying to get done.
It does get liened on the property, and eventually at disposition, there theoretically should be dollars that come back upon transaction.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Thank you. I don't see any other hands, so I guess we'll move to a vote on the memo. All right, item carries 5-0. Thank you so much, Councilmember Torres and Michael. Now we're on to the third memo. This is about a study session around Indigenous heritage. Councilmember Ortiz, you want to introduce this one for us?
Thank you, Chair Cohen and committee members for the opportunity to speak on the joint memo written by myself, Councilmember Davis, Cohen, Candelas, and Dewan. While the city has made a lot of progress in various forms of equity work, a key bottleneck has been work related to fostering positive relationships with our Indigenous community. In conversations I've had with city staff, fellow elected leaders, and community partners, it's clear that the nuances of Indigenous history, culture, and issues have proved confusing, or slowing or halting some of our important work. In order to provide clarity on the variety of issues facing San Jose's Indigenous community, including nations with ancestral claims on San Jose land, my colleagues and I thought it would be helpful to hold a study session on Indigenous history and heritage in this city. It's our direction to ask the city manager's office to gather a panel of anthropologists and other academics with expertise on the Indigenous history of the region to set a common foundation so the city and its city council can move confidently in addressing past and present inequities that affect our Indigenous residents. And finally, it's my hope that we can see this study session come before us sooner rather than later, so that this council can gain a strong understanding of San Jose's Indigenous community. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's go to public comment.
Paul?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's hard for me, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe, it's hard for me to describe how hurt, betrayed, disappointed, angry, disillusioned I feel right now. It's very hard to capture that within the context of this conversation. There was no one in this city who has been more vocal publicly in the arena. I'm not talking private conversations on the street. Charlene Nejma has failed to contact me about this, yet it was my work installed into the public record, a about Peter Burnett. Now, all of a sudden, the issues about Peter Burnett has been normalized. That's my work. That has my stamp all over it because it was that association with Fallon that created the premise where it can no longer stand, that statue. That's number one. The work that I've been put in, you can't get any better expert about San Jose history than myself. And I say that with no kind of ego, but I do say that with pride. And I say that because it's the truth. My work now is being acknowledged by a major university in this county. My work. So when you want to talk about experts, I contacted Rose Amador. Nothing. No one. I had to find out like this. This is what, and what that tells me is money, power, and politics as usual. Everybody now wants on the key. Charlene Nejma never even thought. I spent 11 months of my life on that charter commission. Though it wasn't successful, that does not discount my 11 months out of my life advocating on behalf of the Muwekma. And this is what they do with me. This is how they disregard me from these conversations because of money, politics, and power. It disgusts me.
Back to council.
All right, Lee, it looks like there's a simple consideration form, early consideration form, so go ahead and
Yeah,
quickly sign it.
first, appreciate that, Chair, thank you, and want to apologize to the authors of the memorandum for the miscommunication between them and the city manager's office on this item, and then as well as the form in front of you. So we asked for additional time and agendize this for next week. Really, I think it comes down to a staff workload on the timing of the study session. So it would be a green light from the administration, so be it that the Rules Committee gives us some flexibility to do this in early 2024, in either January or February if possible.
All right, Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. I appreciate the clarification on the green light. Our concern really is that we do not have an official land acknowledgement in the city of San Jose. Other local governments and educational institutions do. We wanted to kind of understanding that there are lots of complexities with the indigenous communities on which San Jose has been built. We wanted to basically go backwards and lay the foundation, and that's really the purpose of the study session. So basically, we can't advance racial equity work with our indigenous communities until we do the study session. So I appreciate that there are workload issues. Is there any, if we could get this in January of 2024, I'm asking the city manager's office. I think we would be happier because we have other things that we want to do after we establish this foundational knowledge amongst everyone on council. Would that be possible, Lee?
Sure. There's, I believe it's the second or third week of January. There's already a time slot for a study session that the clerk has reserved. So we can come forward, at least not with the agenda, but within the next 2 or 3 weeks and just block that. So it's certain that this is in front of folks. And then because of the workload, and I think what I heard Councilmember Ortiz say, we'll be dependent and we'll focus on a lot of outside expertise. I think staff's involvement with the Charter Review Committee was contentious, and there's a lot there that needs to be sussed out. So we want to ensure that you guys have professional voices and independent voices as a part of that process.
Yeah, we very much appreciate that. And I know Councilmember Ortiz's office and my office are ready, willing, and able to assist with the development of the agenda, as well as to contact the experts that we have already identified and help get that scheduled. So if we have a date, we can start working on that and hopefully help take a little bit of the load off of the city staff.
Great. So we'll do a rules memo just to set the date, Rochelle, and that can come from Angel and I, and then Angel Rios and I will set up time to meet with the authors on the work that you guys have done to, started to curate.
Great, thank you. With that, I move approval.
Second.
All right, are we going to the approval with the flexibility to not hold in the fall of 2023?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I don't see any other hands, so let's move to a vote. All right, that motion carries 5-0, and I want to thank my colleagues, Councilmembers Davis, Ortiz, Dewan, and Candelas for allowing me to be part of this memo. Thank you. Now we're on to open forum.
Ellen?
On open forum about the Indigenous heritage. Being First Nations myself, I do see that often things are left out of the educational portion of things. I didn't even know that the library was built on Indigenous property, but they acknowledge it on their website. I appreciate that. Hey, I heard that the Columbus Park was supposed to be renamed. The Park and Recs were putting it out there as a kind of competition who wants to try to pick a name. I thought that it should be mandated that it would be named something in the language of the, I believe it's the Miwoks. Also, if Valley Water gets their State Bill 1469 passed to build villages on Valley Water, probably on it also should be mandated that they do some kind of a traditional dome structure that was, built along the waterways with the theme, in respect to that, and consult with, some of the elders about how they would prefer the building design to be designed, and that, if you want a virtual protest, you can virtually protest for, and I think we should get together and make sure that everyone's voice is heard. And a lot of times people just don't know where to speak. So maybe a campaign about Indigenous people's voices would be cool. That's all. Thank you.
Paul?
Yes, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. I was illegally detained today, and I felt it a badge of pride and a power because I used the most powerful weapon in the world, a Chicano-educated mind. The San Jose Police Department put me in handcuffs as I exited a county government meeting while I was advocating on behalf of the Chicano community and the historical injustice that we have endured. Racism is a public health issue was a statement made by Dr. Sarah Cody of the County of Santa Clara. All I was doing was going there to see and have that racism amended. 2 county employees witnessed the incident and contacted me and said that they would be willing to be subpoenaed because they were disgusted by what they saw. Do I have to be killed before someone realizes what is happening to me, that I'm being set by the San Jose, by the city attorney's office and the city government is trying to force a confrontation between me and the police department, hoping that something happens so that I'm either killed or that I do something in defense of myself from a police officer attacking me, and that I get charged with the resisting arrest. This is what's going on in the city. This is dirty. It stinks. What it is that Charlene Nejma and Rose Amador are doing and saying, you know what, that is my community. They get grant money saying that they represent me, but they're gonna ignore me. My own community is ignoring me. That doesn't say anything about me as a person, as a human being. I think my work speaks for itself. My work record speaks for itself. What it does say, however, about Conexión, what it does say about the Muwekma Ohlone people, what it does say about Charlene Nejma and the people that are backing her, what it says is they're corrupt and they are willing to go to any lengths.
Back to council.
All right, today's meeting's adjourned at 2:44. Thank you.